Hello lovely people! This week I want to talk to you about books that I really enjoyed recently, and that is Good As You, From Prejudice to Pride, 30 Years of Gay Britain by Paul Flynn.
Sophie Vlogs.
I picked up this book because I feel like it was all over BookTube for a little while. Rowan Ellis did a video on it, and I think she does really great videos, so then I was intrigued enough that I asked for this for my birthday, and I recently read it, and I have thoughts. This does what it says on the tin. It is 30 years of specifically like gay male experience in Britain. It's sort of, so format-wise, we have different chapters on different topics. It's not an autobiography, but there are autobiographical elements in this. You can tell that Paul Flynn is drawing upon areas in which he feels both shaped like gay male experience during the last 30 years, but then also as something that he has personal experience with as well. So previous LGBT history books I've read have been very focused on, for example, like legislation and like political figures, psychological figures, that sort of thing. Whereas this is more a look at influential pop culture and sort of the ways in which the trailblazing figures and all of this sort of thing. So I'll just read you like chapter listing and just give you a sense of like what each chapter is kind of about. So National Anthems is all about music. It's all about, there's a big focus on like stuff like Bronski Beat, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, all of that sort of 80s moment and all the musical movements and stuff like that. Tea Time TV Special is obviously about TV. Capital City was one of my favourite chapters in this because it's all about Manchester and it looks at how Canal Street came into being. And I, in a twist of fate, was reading this on the train as I was going to Manchester, because I have friends in Manchester, which is why I did Manchester Pride this year, and all of this stuff. So when I was in Manchester, I really enjoyed the People's History Museum because they had an exhibition on that was all about LGBT history and stuff. And there's a massive overlap between what their exhibition was on and what this book is all about. And this, it was really interesting just to learn about how Canal Street and all of that sort of came into being, how that sort of built up and became like an area and stuff. So I really, really enjoyed that chapter. It was super good. Impossible Princess is all about Kylie Minogue and like sort of how Kylie Minogue relates to, like, she's built up a big gay following and that sort of thing. It does touch on some other people as well, but it's like mostly Kylie focused. Hospital Wing is obviously all about the AIDS epidemic and stuff like the Lighthouse Project and stuff like that. Department of Culture, Media and Sport does what it says on the tin. Poster Boys and Pin-Ups, again. Popularity Contest is all about sort of like television. Well, earlier the television one talked a lot about like EastEnders and stuff like this, whereas Popularity Contest talked a lot about Big Brother and how Big Brother was sort of trailblazing in the types of people that it had on its show and the way it showed you people as humans. That sounds really stupid. I mean, like, it shows you that people are more than just stereotypes, / sometimes, like, stereotypes are also people, that sort of thing. I've never really been a Big Brother person. I don't think I've ever watched an episode. I think I've seen clips. So that was actually really interesting, because that was something that I don't actually know anything about. Penalty Shootout was all about football. I found that kind of interesting. I kind of wanted to talk about rugby because I read Proud by Gareth Thomas, which was really interesting. So, but like, that's not what the chapter was on. It's about football, and it's about all the homophobic attitudes that football still holds, and he talked to like some of the only openly gay like football players and stuff like this, which was again an insight into something which I again don't really know anything about. And then finally, Band of Gold was all about marriage equality and stuff. So as you can probably tell from like that little just like a blip verp of what this book talks about, there's quite a range of pop culture. I found it really interesting, especially because I always do this whenever I review non-fiction books. I'm like, I really like primary quotations from people who were there at the time. So what Paul Flynn does is he does give you like a bit of background onto his life. So when it comes to like football and stuff, that's something which like he went to a lot of football matches when he was a kid and stuff like this, and a lot of like the music and stuff like this, and it's all stuff that he was into and he experienced. And so then he talks to a whole bunch of different people, like in the Kylie Minogue chapter he talks, there's like he's obviously interviewed Kylie Minogue, so you get a lot of quotation from Kylie Minogue, and like with a whole bunch of other people as well. So there was just I really like non-fiction books that give you a lot of primary quotations from the people they're concerned with, because I feel like that's like the best way to really get a sense of what the people themselves felt like. And then just because he samples just a number of other people, you get a sense of like he obviously has his perspective and he's bulked out by other people's perspective. It's just, I'm just talking about sourcing. I need to stop. What this little ramble on sourcing means is aimed towards saying is essentially there's a whole range of really mixed viewpoints in this, and I think it was really interesting to read a pop cultural history. I didn't realize this was a pop cultural history when I picked it up. I thought it was just going to be like history in general. I didn't really know anything about how it was structured. But actually it turned out to be really interesting because pop culture does, it reflects the times, but also a lot of the time, especially in movements such as the LGBT movement, public figures who are like pop cultural figures and stuff do often end up being involved in leading the way sometime. Like all of the concerts that were put on for like lesbians and gays, support the minors, stuff like this. All I'm saying is, if you are in any way interested in like learning a bit about what it was like to be a gay man in the last 30 years, this is a great book to do that. That's pretty much everything I wanted to say about this. I don't know if it's been massively informative. I just mostly wanted to flail and recommend. If you're in any way interested in LGBT history, I recommend you check this out. It was really interesting. It was fun. It was a slightly different take on it, looking through pop culture, which I enjoyed. That's it from me. I will see you next week for something different.